Glenn Taylor, the senior editor of Retail Touchpoints, and I'm here with Dan Pingree, who is the CMO of Moose Jaw. Dan, great to have you along, especially ahead of Retail Touchpoints Live next week, which you happen to be speaking at.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you, Glenn. Looking forward to it.
Of course. And next week at RTP Live, you'll be speaking on how the Moose Jaw team continued to build out its outdoor experience after being acquired by Walmart. Can you give us a small preview of your session going ahead?
Yeah, so the session really is going to focus on specialty retail and, in essence, how we've continued specialty retail despite being acquired by a Fortune 1 company. And so that's usually the first question I get in my role is, what's changed as far as your approach to retail? And the answer to that is not much. We've been successful as a specialty retailer since 1992, and that approach has continued on, and it's really driven by our mission, our vision, and our values. And Walmart has certainly supported us along the way, but we've held true to that. And really, our approach now is to take that specialty retail approach and try to drive it into the Walmart channel, at least within outdoor retail, and try to take some of the learnings that we've had around content and experience and try to map that onto the Walmart platform.
Excellent. And how do you feel that Moose Jaw has really been able to differentiate itself within that outdoor specialty category that you just defined?
Yeah, well, so I think to understand that, it's helpful to kind of step back and understand how the outdoor retail channel tends to think. So for decades, really, what defined an outdoorsman or an outdoors woman was really man or woman versus nature. And the more you suffered, the more of an outdoorsman you were. And so, as you can imagine, that doesn't appeal to that many people. And so when you define the outdoor space as that, man versus nature, and the more suffering, the better, the smaller your audience. And so Moose Jaw has really always approached the outdoors from a fun and don't take yourself so seriously approach. And really, the outdoors is what you make of it. And so the outdoors is really on your terms. If that's you barbecuing hamburgers with your buddies and having a beer, that to us is every bit as valid an outdoor experience as somebody scaling Everest. And so that's really important. That changes the dynamic of the market, who you target, how you target them, what you sell. And so that's really how we've been different than the traditional retailers within our space that tend to gravitate more toward the traditional outdoor retail approach. And we're quirky. We're different in that regard for sure. Everyone knows us in the industry, that is for sure.
And it's interesting that you bring that up, given that you take that kind of fun approach to marketing, which seems to be pretty atypical of a lot of retailers, even in today's world. Where did that idea really to take that direction come from, and how do you feel like you guys have been able to excel at all of that?
Well, the fun really, our brand positioning and our brand stems around this idea of madness. So on any sticker you've probably seen from Moose Jaw, there's kind of a tagline that says, "Love the madness." Moose Jaw, love the madness. LTM, as we call it internally. And the madness is really this fun, this aspect of fun as you're outside. And madness can be, it's not literal insanity, but it's you experiencing life to the fullest. It's you experiencing the outdoors on your terms, however quirky or fun or weird that might be. And so it really started with that positioning. And as part of that, for many years, we've encouraged customers to send in pictures of them loving the madness. And you'd be surprised at some of the pictures we've gotten in all corners of the earth with varying levels of clothing and so on. And it's people basically having fun and experiencing and living their own madness. And really that stems all the way from the founding of the company in 1992 when Robert and Jeffrey Wolf, who were brothers, founded the company. And that's really that's the way they thought about the outdoors. And it's been pretty consistent since then.
Great. And Now, of course, going ahead, even with more of these marketing channels that you have at your disposal in recent years, whether we're talking about mobile devices or even different kind of content, whether long form, short form, what have you, how do you feel that Moose Jaw has really been able to adapt campaigns to those new channels effectively?
Well, content has always been a really important thing for us, and we've invested heavily. We've got a lot more work to do there. But really, the last couple of years, now that we've become part of the Walmart family, we've been able to implement a lot more technology around, for example, multi-touch attribution, which allowed us to really go up funnel and really invest in building brand awareness at the top of the funnel to audiences that have never heard of us before. They might be in the market for a North Face jacket, but they've never heard of Moose Jaw. And so we've always, before the Walmart acquisition, we tended to shy away from such investments because unless you can measure them, we're a very measurement-focused company. I mean, we measure everything, and we've always felt that to be the prudent thing to do. But unless you have the tools to do that measurement accurately, you can spend an awful lot of money and waste an awful lot of money at the top of the funnel. So that's been a big opportunity for us that we've really taken advantage of the last couple of years, enabled by investment dollars, quite honestly, from a people and a technology standpoint.
Gotcha. And as far as just the total approach to marketing here, how do you feel like that customer experience and what you guys are trying to bring together here, how do you feel like that's improved the customer experience?
Well, I think so. The way we think about marketing at Moose Jaw is experiential marketing. And the way we define that is that an experience is an interaction that a customer has with a retailer. It could be in any number of different channels. It doesn't even have to be in the purchasing cycle. It could be during the returns process. It could be during a phone call where you're asking a question. But it's an interaction that helps the customer or potential customer feel uniquely understood. And as they feel uniquely understood, it brings a certain level of satisfaction and joy into that transaction or interaction, I should say. So whether it's a note that's scrawled on the side of a package that you get, that's some sort of funny quip from somebody in the warehouse, or the way that we answer the phone when you call, the way that we interact with you on the phone, it's all meant to be an experience rather than a transaction. There are retailers that do transactions wickedly efficient, and I won't name names, but I mean, one of them would be Walmart, actually, but I won't name any other names, but you can probably guess who I'm thinking about. And so at Moose Jaw, it's always been really important to us not to compete on that axis, that is the axis of transaction, because there are other retailers that we feel do that better than us. So we really try to focus on where we feel we are better than they are and can really differentiate, and that is around experience. And when you think about the outdoors, it's not that hard to create experiences related to the outdoors. Where it becomes tricky and more challenging is, in the areas of on-site behavior and experience there. So personalization, really cracking the code on a truly personalized experience when you come to a session. But that's certainly something that we continue to invest in and refine and get better at. So for us, it's all about experience. It's not when you buy a jacket from us or a carabiner or a pair of hiking boots, it's not a transaction to us. It's an experience, and it's a relationship that we're building. And we treat it as such in all touch points that we have with you over the lifetime relationship. And that's how we think about it. It's not just a sale for us.
Great. Yeah, it definitely sounds like a pretty cool business model and decision-making process you guys have going ahead there. And I know you brought up Walmart earlier, which was interesting, of course, because you guys have the curated site on the Walmart Premium Outdoor Destination on Walmart.com. Do you guys curate the products for Walmart differently than you do for MooseJaw.com? And if so, what are the main differences there?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So if you've been to the Premium Outdoor store, it's pretty slick. in relation to what people have traditionally thought of as the Walmart site. So the Walmart site relaunched recently anyway, and really was simplified and is a lot easier to use. It's much easier to use, particularly on mobile. The Premium Outdoor Store was intended to take that even a step further in terms of the brands that were offered there and the content that was offered there. And, you know, so it's definitely a step toward a specialty approach within the Walmart platform for outdoor products. But we have a long way to go, for sure. I mean, there's not, for example, one of the things customers really appreciate on Moose Jaw that we haven't yet been able to offer on Walmart is 360 spins. So the ability to look at a spin image of a jacket, for example, so that you can see how it fits 360 degrees. Because one of the main factors that drives a return of a jacket is poor fit. So investing more on the front end to help users see how this is going to fit their body. And so content is super important for a jacket in that regard. So 360 spin, some sort of fit tool, high-end imagery for zooming and such, and videography, etc. So I think we've come a long way on Walmart, but there's still a lot of other content and information that we can share there to help users really feel like this is more of a high-end experience. And it also depends on what brand you're able to offer there. You know, there's been a lot of talk in the industry and a lot of conversations that we've had with brands, and some brands are comfortable being on the Premium Outdoor Store, and some are still kind of waiting on the sideline to kind of see how this plays out before they dip their toe on the water. But we're confident we'll get there, and that we'll be able to offer a lot of really nice, high-quality brands on Walmart in the Premium Outdoor Store.
Excellent. And how has Walmart's presence in really investing you guys helped the Moose Jaw brand overall be able to scale to new audiences?
Yeah, so back to the comment I made about upper funnel, I mean, that's really the key area. One of the things we were ecstatic about when they first acquired us was the benefits of scale that we get in terms of credit card processing. So that was nice. But we took the approach that we were going to reinvest those dollars into the upper funnel. So we took those cost savings and said, you know what, we need to really take the Moose Jaw brand and expose it to larger audiences who are having outdoor experiences across the spectrum that we discussed earlier, from grilling all the way to, you know, an expedition to Mount Everest. And we need to build awareness and help them understand the Moose Jaw Madness voice, and then gradually draw them onto the site and hopefully turn them into a customer. That's obviously it's a much longer cycle. It's a much different way of measuring the effectiveness of that. It takes a tremendous amount of investment up front. And so that's a big benefit that we've been able to receive, the investment dollars from Walmart, to help us really grow that channel and sustainably drive profit for the company into the future. That's been a huge win for us. I mean, it's hard to really overstate that, but it's been awesome to watch that and to see people discover Moose Jaw for the first time, see them convert into customers, and you know, the loyalty that comes thereafter.
Yeah, definitely great to see the growth that you guys have had, especially in these past few years, and given what capital you're able to use now. Seems like there's a lot of good stuff going ahead for the Moose Jaw team overall. I guess from here, yeah, there's usually some personal questions that I like to ask at the end of interviews like this, and I think it's interesting, you know, given your aspect here as a CMO of Moose Jaw. Can you tell me a little bit about really your favorite part of this role?
Yeah, I love the people I work with. Moose Jaw's full of great people that, as you can imagine, there are some real creative geniuses around here. Some of the stuff they come up with around content that you see in the creative and in promotional campaigns are second to none. Just fantastic. And they really bring a lot of fun and joy into my life, seeing that come to fruition. So that's one thing. Another thing is you know, I love working on challenges, and anyone who's in e-commerce knows how quickly the market evolves and how tough the competition is. And so if you want a challenge, come work in e-commerce because things are always changing. The stakes are extremely high, and you're competing against people who have pretty fat wallets. So that's another one. The third thing I really like about the role is the ability to just test a lot. And we do that. And sometimes we fail when we test. And sometimes we find that gold nugget that we're able to leverage and really benefit from. But we are rigorous testers, and I really enjoy that part of the job because there's just a huge amount of learning you gain from that testing, both what works and what really doesn't work and you should never do again. And so those are, I like a role where you can constantly be learning, and testing is one way to really force that learning experience, I've found.
And who would you say have been your biggest career inspirations that have helped you craft some of these marketing experiences that you've had now that you've been working at Moose Jaw for so long?
Yeah. Well, I could kind of give you the cliche-ish answer, but I don't think I will. I mean, I love some of the stuff Apple does around experience, and it's been written about in many a book and has been talked about on many a blog, the experience when you go into an Apple store. But I'll use an example that I really like that maybe isn't talked about as much because it's not in as sexy an industry, and that is the airline industry. So I'm going to talk about Southwest Airlines for a minute because I'm a real fan of Southwest, because Southwest, yes, it's a flight you're taking, but there really is a unique experience to flying a Southwest flight. And it starts from just the when you check in. From the moment you check in to when you exit the plane, there's an aspect of fun, and just for a lot of people flying on a plane, it can be a quite stressful experience. And so you have these flight attendants who are, novice comedians, it seems like at times. The jokes they're cracking and the way they try to make people comfortable during the flight, from freebies they hand out, just how nice they are and pleasant they are. And they try to take an experience or a flight experience that can be very stressful and very boring for some people and turn it into something that is memorable and fun and something you wouldn't mind doing again. And somehow they've been able to do that decade after decade. And I really like flying them for that reason, because I don't enjoy flying all that much. It's quite boring at this point in my career. But when I can, I fly with these guys because it really is a unique experience that's quite fun and enjoyable. So I look at companies like that have like a unique experience that they've been able to create. And I draw inspiration from that and think, well, how can we do a better job with building a unique experience at Moose Jaw? It has to be anytime you interact with a customer. It can't just be during a sale, right? It has to be during the tough times too. Someone wants to return an item, or someone's pissed off that, a jacket failed, and how are you going to treat that? How is that experience going to go for that customer? It has to be in all touch points. But if you can really have a unique and fun experience in all touch points, especially during the tough times, my belief is that they're always going to remember this. It's going to be very, very memorable, and it's something they would go tell 10 friends about. So that's one example. Southwest Air, I really like them a lot.
Great. Yeah, that's a pretty cool outside the box example too, because I think it shows just how much a brand can really focus on the care of the consumer while at the same time really doing something that stands out and can be funny as well. So good to really be able to see you guys take that and really swing it in a different way.
Well, we try. We have fun doing it for sure. That's the thing, is the fun aspect of what we do is really, it's pervasive throughout the company. It's not a pretend thing. If you were to come here and see what's painted on the walls or drawn on the walls and just listen to the chatter during the day as people work, or if you were a fly on the wall during a meeting, it's real. This is really our culture. The loving the madness and the fun aspect is part of our culture, and we hope that it's part of the experience a customer has when they interact with us, and hopefully that comes across as very genuine and sincere.
Great. Well, yeah, I only have one more question left, actually. How did you get into retail in the first place?
Well, so I started my career out of business school more in technical roles. So I was early on at a startup, then I was at Microsoft for many years. And so the technology, even though I don't have a computer science background, I think technology has really been interesting to me as to the impact it can have on people's lives. And so what drew me to retail was as retail became more and more moving more and more online, even though it's still the vast majority of retail is still offline, right? I mean, online commerce is still in the low teens last I checked, in terms of the percent of overall commerce being online. So there was the opportunity part of, hey, this e-commerce thing has a long runway ahead of it, but also the impact technology can have on e-commerce, and it's really the backbone of e-commerce. And I tend to also approach marketing from an analytical standpoint. In e-commerce, there's a lot of analytics in it, in understanding every single click, every single impression. And so retail itself wasn't the draw. It was more the e-commerce aspect of retail and the technology and analytics that underlie that. I saw as an opportunity, and it was something I felt that really meshed well with my skills, my passions, and I've really enjoyed it ever since. It's been a lot of fun, and it just continues to take off.
Excellent. Well, yeah, Dan, thank you obviously for being a share a little bit about, how you've worked with Moose Jaw over the years, really how you guys have been able to benefit in recent years, and then even some of the personal aspects of you working there. Definitely seems like there's a lot of great things coming out of that marketing department.
Well, thank you. We sure enjoy it, and it's been a great ride.
All right. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to your session, which will be Wednesday, June 26th at 10 a.m. Anybody who hasn't actually registered yet, feel free to register for Retail Touchpoints Live at RetailX at retailtouchpoints.live. On that note, thank you everyone for joining today. I'm Glenn Taylor for Retail Touchpoints, signing off.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.